Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dr. P and welcome back today for another Fortnite video. Now in today's video, I want to take a closer look at DURRR and TOMATOHEAD, the food trucks, and the apparent war that seems to be going on between them and how that could tie into the current season storyline. We'll dive into it all, but first, if you guys could do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, that would be much appreciated, and of course, go ahead and drop a like down below if you enjoyed the video. So the inspiration for this video was taken from a Reddit post I saw a little earlier, and it's by user Colby Bartosh, and he lays out a big theory basically detailing a whole bunch of stuff about the DURRR and the TOMATOHEAD. As you guys know, DURRR has recently closed down. We're not entirely sure why, but as we'll get into a little bit later in the video, there is a theory. And on top of that, there are now food trucks for both the DURRR and the TOMATOHEAD restaurant roaming around the map to various locations, apparently trying to compete over customers. So what I'm going to do is read this entire theory to you from Reddit. It's pretty long, and if you want to follow along with me and you want to check it out, the original post, I'll be sure to link that down below as well. So here we go. It is kind of long, I'll just warn you again. But he says, as you all know, the original TOMATOHEAD was taken by a rift last season with no sign of where it went, until the restaurant was replaced with Tomato Temple a few weeks later. People kind of ignored this. No one really thought about what it meant, but hear me out. The rifts brought something from the past to the present, aka the Viking village. So who says it can't bring stuff from the present to the past? The TOMATOHEAD went back in time, most likely to prehistoric times, and the people just saw something fall from the sky with a face. They look at it as a god, and it creates a type of religion / tomato cult. Keep in mind, this is all happening at the same geological place the future Tomato Town is on. So the followers of the TOMATOHEAD decorate it and make a temple for it by carving out the surrounding area and using the stones to make a place of worship. Changing the past also alters the future, so the temple of the TOMATOHEAD still stands today. However, since we are in the original timeline where all of this rift stuff took place, we have the remnants of the buildings surrounding the old restaurant, but no restaurant. Because there isn't a restaurant, Uncle Pete needs to try to keep his business booming, and so he opens up a food truck. However, people would rather go to an actual restaurant than a little old food truck, so DURRR gets more business naturally. The tomato truck went to Greasy Grove, and before DURRR was shut down, you could see a box of bugs, possibly roaches, in the back of the tomato truck. A few days later, DURRR is shut down with a sign with a cross through a burger and bugs surrounding it. DURRR was shut down due to a health code violation. Problem solved, right? Well, not exactly, because DURRR retaliated by making his own food truck to compete for customers with Uncle Pete's truck. Now that brings us to where we currently are, but we also have all of these TOMATOHEAD references in the Battle Pass. Is this just a coincidence, or is this trying to tell us something? One of the loading screens you can unlock has TOMATOHEAD people putting a tomato on a dude's head, kind of like an initiation to the tomato cult. We also have a tomato skin we can unlock, and the description is Protector of the Sauce. I think Epic is giving us a bit of a foreshadow on next season. So wow, that was a lot. That was the entire theory, and don't worry, I'm going to break it down a little further for you. So essentially what he's talking about here is kind of an add-on to one of my theories from earlier this week when I talked about alternate realities in different dimensions and other timelines. He's saying that the rifts back in Season 4 and Season 5 were essentially linking us to other alternate realities, especially back in late Season 4, when the rifts were teasing Season 5 and zapping things in and out of the world of Fortnite. If you'll remember back when the TOMATOHEAD vanished off of the top of the Tomato Town restaurant, he's claiming that the TOMATOHEAD simply vanished into the past and landed in a prehistoric time period at the same location of Tomato Town but in the past. And I mean, if you're just a super simple person from the past and one day you're going about your business and some random TOMATOHEAD, you don't even know what it is, it just falls from the sky, but it has a face, you're probably going to make some kind of a cult or a religion out of it if it's that far back in the past, and people just think it's a god or think it's just something that was meant to be sent to them, so they just cultivate a cult around it. You guys all know about the movies you've seen where the past changes the present, so obviously if they're cultivating a tomato cult around the TOMATOHEAD and it's in the past, they're building all these structures, so it makes sense that the current tomato area would be cultivated into a tomato temple And there are all these random, praise to the tomato emotes, and what does very much seem to be like a tomato cult or tomato gang. Now, obviously, in the current timeline we're in, Uncle Pete did not expect his business to just get randomly teleported out and replaced by a weird tomato temple, so he goes to the streets once his restaurant gets shut down, and he tries to compete. But, like the theory said, DURRR is just an actual restaurant. I mean, nobody would prefer, most likely, they wouldn't prefer to go after a food truck when they could have the actual in-class dining experience they want. Once Pete wasn't getting the business he wanted, his food truck ended up outside of the DURRR restaurant. It's direct competition with a bag of roaches or just a bunch of insects in the back of his truck. Just a few days later, DURRR gets a health code violation and it's being shut down for good. The DURRR, who most likely was aware of what was going on, I mean, it can't be a coincidence that this just happens right when Uncle Pete's food truck shows up, goes into fight back mode and makes his own truck, and he's even following, basically tailing the Uncle Pete's food truck, going up right beside him in direct competition. It's even gone as far as Uncle Pete directly calling out the DURRR with signs on his truck giving the thumbs down to the DURRR brand. They definitely seem to be at war with one another over who can get the most amount of customers, and I'm kind of sitting here thinking to myself, what could this mean? Like, what are they doing, and how is this going to inflict anything upon the storyline here? Because honestly, I'm not too sure, and I mean, the storyline is kind of like a mini storyline within the overall Season 6 theme. I mean, obviously, you've got the real story going on with the loading screens, and the butterfly event, and Kevin the Cube, and everything like that that's played a role. But now what I think you've got here is something of a side story, not the main story, but still something going on in the game involving the DURRR and Uncle Pete's food truck. What's interesting to me, though, is I wonder if there's going to be any change at the DURRR restaurant, like if something else could come up there, or maybe even if Greasy is going to get a complete overhaul, because I mean, the tomato head, yeah, it did get teleported away, and this theory does make sense, but the one flaw in the whole thing is the DURRR also got teleported away in the rep, but it came back. It was rejected from whatever place it went to, and it did not go back on top of the restaurant, but instead on some random field, some random hill in Pleasant Park. Tomato Temple got changed because I guess the tomato never came back, but the DURRR did come back, so I think that might be why we never saw a change to that area of the map, even though we saw a change with Tomato Town, which is now Tomato Temple. Make sure to let me know what you guys think about all of this, because I mean, yeah, it's a good theory, but I'll be the first to admit there are probably a couple loopholes. I do really think this makes a lot of sense, but there are also some other things we gotta figure out. We gotta figure out exactly what's going on, and the best way to do that, of course, is for all of us to work together. So if you have anything that you want to add to this theory or anything you want to point out, be sure to go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below or tweet me on Twitter. I sincerely hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up rating and a subscription to the channel if you like what you see, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace out.